Hey, what's going on everybody? Nick here, back with another lockdown fly tying video. And today I'm going to be tying up a pattern that I have not tied or fished in a good number of years, and that is the Ferguson green and silver. The green and silver is something of an iconic Puget Sound sea run cutthroat and coho fly, originated by a man named Bruce Ferguson, who was he was something of a pioneer as far as fly fishing for sea run cutthroat and salmon in Puget Sound. I never had the chance to meet Bruce or listen to him speak or anything. I wish I would have, but he left a lasting impression on Puget Sound fly fishermen, that's for sure. I used to fish this fly a lot when I first got started in fly fishing in Puget Sound, partly because it was very effective and partly because it was pretty easy to tie. When I first got going fishing the beaches, a lot of my early fish were caught on this pattern, both sea run cutthroat and coho. But it's one that I've just sort of forgot about for, God, it's been, 10, 15 years probably since I've really messed around with one of these. But I was out in my truck this morning, and the dash of my truck is covered with flies, and the visor is covered with flies, and it's kind of my wall of fame. And I saw one of these. It was pretty tattered, stuck in between some other flies, and it kind of just popped it back into my memory. So I thought today's video I would dedicate to tying this fly. Super simple fly. Kind of a bait fishy type of a profile, but it's just one of those flies that catches fish for whatever reason. You could use different materials. I believe the original calls for polar bear, but I'm using bucktail today, mostly because I don't like the color of the polar bear that I have for this. It's not super white. It's more of like a tan almost. But anyway, very easy fly to tie. Very, very effective. This fly really does catch fish, and it's cool to tie some of these older, classical, early Puget Sound flies sometimes, rather than going with all the latest and greatest, because this stuff worked back in the day and it works just as well today. So to get started, I'm going to take this one out. I've got a Daiichi 2546 size 6 hook. Tying this fairly small. Really, you could tie this on just about any hook. There's no need for anything special here. And I'm using some Vivas 10-aught white thread. And I'm just going to start by laying down the thread base. Wrap that back to near the barb. Oh, I see I didn't do a very good job of pinching that barb. Holy cow. Sorry about that. Now I'm going to take some white bucktail. Very, very, very little. This fly needs to be tied pretty sparse. So I'm just pulling off a clump of this, and I'm going to thin it out, pull out any under fur, any short fibers, and just sort of thin this out to the density that I think will look good. You really don't want a lot. I've got maybe, I don't know what, 10, 12 hairs here. The only thing I don't like about using bucktail for this is that with the shorter tail, the unevenness of the bucktail kind of looks a little bit goofy to me. I'd probably think about using calf hair, but I don't have any right now. Like I said, the original calls for bucktail or for polar bear, but so I'm just going to tie in a tail, and it's probably about a hook length for the tail. Again, very, very sparse. Bring my thread back up near the eye, and I'm going to tie in. I've just got some silver flat braid. It's going to be the body. So I'll go tie that in next. And just wrap back to the tie-in point of the tail. And I'm going to wrap this for a body. Sometimes that first wrap wants to pull the bucktail around if you get it too far back, so you can just kind of adjust that with your fingers if you need to. So we'll wrap that up probably about 2 hook eyes from the eye of the hook. And then I have some chartreuse chenille. This is just absolute bare bones chartreuse chenille. You could use dubbing, you could use estaz, you could do whatever you want. I'm going to pull off just a bit of this to expose that core for a tie-in point. I'm going to tie that in right there where I sort of stopped with the diamond braid. Do 2 or 3 wraps of this, not a ton. There we go, just kind of a ball of chartreuse at the front of this. Then I'm going back to some more white bucktail. Same kind of concept. I'm going to cut off a little clump and then just thin it down. I'm going to go a little bit more than I have on the tail, but not much. Again, you want this pretty sparse. Trying to get these fibers somewhat even. I don't like that. I'm going to try that again. Yeah, like I said, really if I had a hair stacker on me it would make life easy, but I'd have to go find mine since I haven't used it in a long time. Usually I like the unevenness of bucktail. It's one of my favorite things about using it, but I just think at the smaller size that the unevenness kind of sticks out to me and looks a little bit goofy. But doesn't have anything to do with the way it fishes. So okay, I'm going to line that up to where it ends pretty close to the tail, and I'm going to tie this in right behind the eye of the hook. Could have left myself maybe just a little bit more room, but that's alright. And ideally you want it, and the chenille helps with that, but you want it kind of angled up like that. You don't really want it down flat against the hook. Like I said, that chartreuse, the chenille ball there will help with that. Then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I've got 3 strands here of pearl crystal flash. Tie that in right on top of the bucktail. Just a little sparkle in here, not a ton. Like I said, this is a very easy fly to tie, but very simple and very effective little pattern. When I first got going fly tying in Puget Sound, this was one of my biggest confidence flies. I fish this thing all the time. And I'm just going to do a whip finish here. And that's it. You can see very simple fly, very sparse, very basic, but very effective. We tend to go nuts with our fly tying, I think probably in all fisheries, but in Puget Sound you really don't need much to catch fish most of the time. And I think a lot of these classic patterns are a good testament to that these guys caught a lot of fish on these things back in the day when they were developing all these flies, and you definitely don't need to go super fancy to catch some sea run cutthroat or some coho. So there you go, real easy. Give it a shot, add a few to your box. If they work for you, definitely like to hear about it. And as always, thanks for watching.